one of my recent passions has been to try affordable rents. Right now rents in many places have gone down, and I think that's good, but it's important that they stay down, because with the increased pressure and the importance of margins for the small and medium retailer, they can't reach levels that the merchants can't afford them anymore. And a good rule of thumb, my research has indicated, is that the rent should be no more than 15% of total sales, annual sales. And this table shows how much space can be afforded at various rents by retailers making with annual sales of starting at $250,000 a year, going up to $450,000 a year. And what you see quite quickly is that once the rents start creeping up, that retailers can't afford very much space. Certainly not enough for them often to do the kind of business that they want to. Well, thank you. I hope I haven't been too long-winded on this. And I thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, David. And I'm sitting here surrounded by the most seasoned downtown professionals in the state of Wisconsin, and looking at their reactions, it's obvious that you are well tuned into consumer behavior and able to tie it into downtown revitalization.
The conference is now in talk mode. Everyone on the conference can now be heard.
And we also all burst into applause when you mentioned the point about now more than ever, get merchants to stop bad-mouthing their districts to shoppers and the media. So you really hit a home run on a number of your points, and we thank you very much, David. Here in Wisconsin, we have a whole bunch of questions in Lake Mills, but Chuck, do you want to add?
Well, the only thing I might add is obviously you've given us lots to think about, David, and we appreciate that. And your comments, I think, fit well with the theme of this year's webinars, is that we really need to think about the changing environment in which we live and operate and work and have fun downtown. And we need to develop some new strategies. So I would like to open it up for questions around the state. I'm sure there are a few out there. Joe, it sounds like you've opened up the microphones. So we'll just pause to see if there are questions. And I'd also remind people that they can use the Q&A function menu at the top of their screen. If they don't necessarily want to pose a public question verbally over the phone line, they can certainly type in their question, and David will see that and be available to respond. So let's pause and see if there's questions from around the state.
Chuck, if it's okay, I'm going to jump in, and I have about 10 or 12 questions here in Lake Mills.
All right, go.
Start these, and David, maybe keep your answers real short if you could. The first one is, how do you get downtown merchants to stop bad-mouthing districts?
Well, you'd be surprised how sometimes they don't know what they're doing. And simply calling them on it, and even better than the manager doing it, is to have another merchant call them on it. And I think that's a good way to start, good place to start.
Thanks, David. Let's open it up to around the state to other questions, and we'll fill in here from Lake Mills as well.
You're calling from Monroe, Wisconsin.
Go ahead.
Okay. How about store hours? The concern for we have just done a new streetscape. The square is beautiful, and it's always been a great attraction, and now even looks better. But we need to be able to pull traffic from a larger area, perhaps, so that we can accommodate some of these things that have been shared with us today. However, one of the things that we run into in doing some of our questioning of people in the area is that the time they can shop is on the weekends. That is an issue that is difficult to address. You can't get many retailers to agree that perhaps is as important as others believe it to be, and it's a journey that I have been on for some time, but continue to see the independence of individual merchants sometimes not finding enough cooperation to really create a pattern that says we are open for business.
Well, I hate, you've really got a sore point here that's been long-standing. Most merchants want to have a family life, and so they want to be home at 7 o'clock to have dinner, etc. And yet, the survey work that we've shown is basically runs that comparison shopping. 50% is done on Saturday and Sunday, and then 30% is done midweek, weekdays after 5. That means about 20% is done Monday to Friday from 9 to 5. Now, when would you be open? But if you, and that's in my part of the country. I don't know what it is in yours, but you can do a little survey work and find out. But if you show that to a lot of merchants, they say they are not interested as much in the extra income as they are in the time with their family, and it's a tough sell unless you have some kind of raptor retailer, a guy who really wants to grow and etc. I don't know how you can. I don't know how you convince somebody like that. Frankly, that's one of the advantages of having chain stores sometimes, because they, by standard operating procedure, they usually stay open into the night. Then sometimes some of the independents will stay open as well. But boy, this is a tough nut, and I haven't got an easy answer to it at all.
First, would you share those percentages again for me? 50% were Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, this is and 30%, about 30%, 28-30% after 5, Monday through Friday.
Thank you.
David, another question from Lake Mills, and this ties into your home and hearth niche that you oftentimes talk about. The question is, how long will the furniture industry continue to fall? Are we recycling furniture, and when do we start to buy? Wisconsin has been slammed. What have we done to fill these large vacant furniture store spaces?
Yeah, I'm not that smart or that good to know when precisely that's going to come down. But my really strong impression is, and I think the data that I'm seeing from reported by Home Depot and Lowe's and some of the other, is people are starting to come back because of the reasons I gave you before. That you've got, if you're going to stay in your home, you need to maintain it. Then if your kids are growing up and you're not going to get a new home, the daughter needs a separate room from the son, and they're starting to remodel. And then the wife or the food preparer in the household wants an updated kitchen, and it might not be the Taj Mahal kitchen with zero, really high-end appliances anymore, but it'll be upgraded. And I think that has already started, and things are starting to come back. Furniture, I don't know what's going to happen on that, when that's going to kick in, but I think that will happen again. It's going to happen, but I don't know when.
Next question. Next question elsewhere in the state. Okay, Lake Mills will jump in again. Why are sneaky necessities rising so dramatically? What can we do about it?
Hey, if I knew that, I would be down in Washington, and I would be secretary of some department down there.
Another question. From elsewhere in Wisconsin.
Hello.
Yeah.
This is, I'm from Rhinelander. One moment. And going back to your comments on the hours for weekends, I'm a retailer, bookstore owner, and I've stayed open for 15 years in the evenings from 5:30 until 8, and sometimes I've had only one customer, maybe two. On Sundays, I would stay open from 10 until 4. I might have 1 or 2 customers. I can't afford that.
Well, that's what I said. That I was reporting on survey data from my part of the country, and I suggested that you have to look in your part of the country. That habits like that can vary, and so I can't say that's going to be the case in Wisconsin, in Wisconsin or in parts of Wisconsin. So I hear you. I mean, I can understand what you're saying.
This is Beverly in Washburn County in Sooner, and there was some discussion here that there needs to be a critical mass of businesses open those extended hours, though. That if it's 1 or 2, it isn't enough to get people feeling that the downtown is open later.
Yeah, I think that's true, but often if you have a couple of businesses open close to a popular restaurants, or you have that, this is one of the advantages of later is that the restaurants also bring in the customer stream as well. I would count the restaurants in there among the operations to give you that critical mass. And often, you don't need as many as you think to have a presence that people think of. Well, there's some, a reason to go down there.
Any more questions? I'll throw another one from Lake Mills if I can then, and this is a question dealing with rents, and I may need some help from whoever asked me this question about $5 to $8 per square foot. And who in the room asked that question? JD asked the question.
Well, he's a troublemaker. We have to listen.
That's a pain in the neck. JD, can you explain your question?
He's got New York rents up there.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. JD was just saying that some of our rents are $5 to $8 per square foot.
Pardon? I can't hear you, Bill.
JD was saying that some of our rents in Wisconsin are $5 to $8 per square foot.
Well, then you have then you may not have an affordable rent problem. I don't know also what your retailers consider to be a decent sales kind of acceptable figure. In my neck of the woods, 300, 350 retailers are figuring they're doing pretty good. Maybe in your neck of the woods it's the same, or maybe it's less. The whole thing is a relationship between, what they really can afford.
David?
Yeah.
Hey, don't sound so excited, We walked State Street one day. Ours are 150 to 200.
150 to 200?
Uh-huh.
Well, you see, okay, then take 15% of that, okay, and that gives you on your total, and then you can do the table, expand the table out, and that's what I'm really putting this up for. If that's what's in your area, then. But the key thing I want to put on the table is be concerned about the affordability of the rents. And I've had this 15% ratio. I found this in a number of parts of the country. So I'm throwing it out there as something to you to look at.
Question from Green Lake, Wisconsin. The 15% rule for rent.
Yeah.
Often we have small businesses with heating bills that are $2,000 a month. Should that be under part of the 15%?
Wow. Okay, this is, I'm learning something right here and now. $2,000 a month for heating?
Here just at $3,000 for hers.
Oh my Lord.
This is a concern. We have some beautiful old buildings in our downtowns, and maybe the rents don't sound that expensive. So you move in, and you have your first winter. You have $15,000 to $20,000 of heat bills over a 6 or 7 month heating